This is the May Contain Action podcast
on Apple iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, and more.
3, 2, 1, 0. All systems active.
Welcome to episode 52 of the May Contain Action podcast. The show is brought to you by Manscaped, as always, the best in men's below the belt grooming. Manscaped offers a great plum shaving experience. Yeah, change that up. Gotcha. I am host number 2, Trevor May, aka IamTrevorMay on all socials, and with me as always, Paul, ActionJaxon. Here he is.
Woo!
There it is.
Yeah,
there it is. Wow, nice. Very well timed.
Thank you. I brought my own horns to this.
Yeah. You have so many sounds on your board now. It's absolutely ridiculous. I can't even get a sound in sideways during streams with you.
Oh,
and Jen. It's brutal.
I got a lot of sounds.
Before we introduce our guest, who I'm very excited to have on the show. I feel like we learn something every week. I feel like this time though, we're going to learn a lot.
No pressure.
But before we get there, I just want to thank, on behalf of both of us, thank everyone who purchased our first ever merch, our May Contain Action ornament.
Yes.
If you ordered one, they are all sent now. So if you haven't received it, you should get it very soon. But we really appreciate you. It was just a nice little cool thing. I got one on my Christmas tree when it was up, and now it's gone. So now it's in a box in my garage, but it was on there for a little bit. So
wow,
it's pretty cool. But we also have a special thing too now, Paul, right? You can call us.
You can call us on the phone.
On the phone.
No one's going to answer. No
one's going to answer. I made that on purpose. And don't do it during the episode either, because we will not answer it then either. But if you want to get on the pod, you can now use your voice. We're going to do our best to get the clearest messages into the pod, probably in post. We haven't
now recording.
But eventually we'll do it.
Really
but
enunciate,
really enunciate, it's still a phone call. So, how those things go. But you can call, leave a message, or text. Text works too. That actually works just as good. So you can do that too. The number is 503-908-9526. You can leave your question and you might just get in the podcast if it's good enough. If it's bad, we will ignore it.
Oh, yeah. What was that number again, Trevor?
That number again is 503-908-9526. If you're wondering, wow, that's like a Portland number, that you would be correct. That's just the number they gave me, which is really random. But that's what the number is. It's not a 1-800. Those are expensive. This is a Google Voice, and we will get your message. And trust me, we will be listening to it. We want to thank you in advance for doing that. But
yeah, very cool.
Now, today, we are joined by someone that is simply needs no introduction, but I'm going to do it anyway. He's been featured on Fast Company, GameSpot, New York Times, Polygon, The Hollywood Reporter, and IGN, among others. Kahlief Adams, the creator of SpawnOnMe is here. Kahlief Adams, everybody.
What up? What the deal be? What's going on, boy?
Silky smooth voice. Listen to that.
What is going on? I'm just trying to be like you two. We have already talked about plums. We've talked about ornaments. We have talked about 503 area codes on cell phone numbers and Google Play numbers. It is already a fantastic and momentous day to be able to chill with you two boys. I'm excited. I'm hyped to be able to chill with y'all.
Well, thank you so much, man. I'm very excited to get to know more about you, obviously, as well. Your podcast and kind of your whole mission statement behind it, which I think is fascinating and very, very cool. Listening to a couple of your podcasts as well, and just like the range of people that you interview I think is awesome. So we're really excited to have you here, man. Thanks for joining us all the way over here in Discord.
A big fan of both of you. You've all been rocking it. The show has been fantastic. Welcome and excited to see and be on the 53rd or 54th show?
52nd.
Look at that.
Yeah, 52.
I was in the future for a hot second.
Yeah, it's going to happen, though. We're going to get to 53. and
Oh,
54.
you're absolutely going to get to 57.
Yeah.
Ooh, I thought 53 was our hard cutoff, Trev. We have a hard cutoff of 53.
We have all these random milestones. 53 happens to be one of them.
There you go.
Based
I'll
on
get
nothing.
a 53 tattoo on my forearm. Which
There we go. That's how you know. You know they're fans.
No, not at all. So, Kahlief, to get to know you, we want to know a little bit more about you and your gaming history. Obviously, you've been in the industry for a very long time. But as of
very
right now,
long time.
A very long. I mean, he is
on
old.
very.
You know what I'm saying? My goodness, this man, ancient. What is your current random screen name, if you have one? If you're rolling with anything right now, on whatever Xbox Live. And if this wasn't your first one, Demon Slayer 97, what was it before? What was your first screen name?
Oh man, I have been fairly consistent in terms of screen names. It has been a variant of my first three initials and first three initials of my first letters. Initials and letters of my first name and middle name. So it's Ka and Ja, Khjah. Jamal is my middle name. Kahlief my first. And then it has been stolen by someone in the internet, so I had to become Kaja 1.
Sons of bitches. How did that get stolen? That's so specific.
I don't know.
How did that happen?
Evil souls out here just stealing people's usernames for no reason.
Oh my god!
It was doing nothing. It was chilling. It was just hanging out, doing what it does, not getting gamer score, being scrubby, not playing games well. And somebody was like, "Yo, I need that." Run up. They ran up on me like it was scared straight, and they were like, "Yo, can I give me them shoes?" That wanted to be my username.
Give me them shoes.
Yeah, hold my belt for a hot second while I take your gamer tag. It was definitely one of those kinds of things. And then my Xbox Live name was Kaja Kins, because you make things cute as soon as you add Cayennes to it.
Sure, of course. So everyone knows that.
Everything ActionJaxon Kins is extra cute, even though you were already a handsome man.
Why?
Ever make Kins? Oh my goodness, what does that even mean in this?
Ever make?
Yeah, what are the kids?
I have enough puns about my name. We could just not give any more ideas to the internet because it's getting ridiculous.
But those are my first names. I've kept those for a long period of time. They haven't changed that much because everybody else takes all the extra stuff and they just put X's in front of it anyway.
No, of course.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. All the time. All right, very cool. All right, I'm still blown away. I mean, that was obviously a very intentional move. Whoever stole that from you was like, you know what? This guy, I'm taking his name. It's mine now. I know him specifically, and I'm taking it. Like, there's no way someone had that name with those letters. Like, no shot.
It was very much I am the captain now of your name. And just
yeah, that was nice.
We spent a whole afternoon just taking it on everything. Can't even remember the passwords. I can't even give it to you if you want it.
Basically, yeah. They were like, I'm just going to throw it on my AOL burner account. Like, oh, thanks.
Exactly.
I appreciate that with your net0 email address. I appreciate you doing that.
At least you didn't take it from yourself. We had a previous guest. We had Milton T. Pike took his own name from himself without realizing it. He's like, who has Milton T. Pike on Twitch? This is ridiculous. He found out later that he took it and forgot the password.
He took it and he watched his brother and he's like, wait, this guy follows my brother. Is this a sick joke? 2 years later, he's like, wait, that's me. That person.
It's me.
That
was so Milton T. Pike 1. So
after he fully branded with the 1 at the end, which is so fun. Oh my god, it's so fun.
Full branding.
Well,
outstanding.
Noah J's got 3 letter numbers at the end, so sometimes it just becomes a name.
It's not impossible to brand with a bunch of numbers. I mean, the X's are tough. I feel
Look at Connor, dude. His name's Con 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 0. So
yeah.
So
it looks really good on a business card too. It does.
I mean, he's 13 though, so let's give him a little bit of a break. But yeah, he does have a YouTube channel with hundreds of thousands of subs with that name, so it can happen.
Damn it, Connor, teach me the ways. I'm old. Help me.
Seriously.
So I don't even know a Connor. I don't think it's my age. So anyway, that's neither here nor there. Interesting. We were right before we got on the pod. You said that you live in Portland, correct? Great Northwest, represent. Columbia River, it's beautiful. But you said you're originally from the Bronx.
Yes. Yeah. So I was born and raised in New York, Bronx, Manhattan Hospital, and then shipped out to the Boogie Down in the late 70s, early 80s. So I am old. I am older than most of the folks on Twitch. I know so because I have carpal tunnel syndrome. And also my debt is probably older than most of the people who have been alive.
True.
So I probably have like a credit history older than most of the streamers who are on Twitch.
That's definitely true.
But the most adult. I have credit history older than you.
that's old man stuff right there. Just be like, yo, fam, I got debt older than you. But yeah, so I've been gaming for a very long time. The running joke I tell people is like my first console had wood paneling on it, which it probably actually did. Which was
kind of a flex, honestly. That's pretty sick.
It's just old, fam. You know what I'm saying? I got into the gaming industry about 10 plus years ago. I started a blog called the Spawn Point Blog. That got picked up by the folks over at Sony. They asked me to do some pieces in connection to a game that they were putting out called Sound Shapes. I was doing some work with the community there. And they were like, hey, the stuff that we wanted to do is the same stuff that you're currently doing now. Would you mind doing it for us? And that kind of started my actual want to do this kind of work in a bigger way. I'd always wanted to be in the industry. I wanted to make games, and then math was like, nah, son. Like math to be a coder. And then I was sitting at my desk. I was back home in New York working at a union. At a union gig doing IT there, and was like, I feel stupid. I'm tired of teaching people how to use their mouse and keyboard. Let's figure out ways to use this knowledge of gaming to try to figure out ways to build that out into something else. And now 8 years later, after the blog has passed and gone, and then we're almost at our 8th year doing SpawnOnMe. Now that podcasting gig that I gave myself got me a job over at Intel doing community stuff there. So it's been an interesting ride, to say the least, in terms of making the transition from being a person who's writing about and making content about games to now working full time in the games industry.
That's very cool. Yeah. Well, okay, so Sound Shapes, that sound. You just said that, and my ears perked up. I was actually 2 years ago. I went down to San Diego studios to do some stuff with MLB The Show, and they did a couple of developers in that game were also like they had switched teams, and so they were just telling me all about it. And I it's kind of obscure a little bit. A lot of people probably don't know what that was, but it's just weird that I got to talk to a couple of developers. They were telling me about all the premise and why. And I was like, dude, that's super cool. Why haven't I ever heard of this? But it's just that's a small world thing. But the reason I asked is you've been like where you've lived is because this is my question. And if you've listened to the pod, which I think you said you're familiar, I ask this question every time. And so I need to know, and we were talking about donuts right before we got on here too. So I need to know fast food. Actually, it's not even fast food anymore. I just say this every time. Favorite food to grab, and then you're about to go to your computer and do some gaming or even some work. Just something that you're like, this is going to make me feel good. I'm going to be happy when I eat this. Maybe not necessarily physically feel good, but I'll be happy while I'm eating it.
I'll get a dopamine hit as soon as I
a little dopamine hit. Like I'm just going to do what I'm doing the thing right now, and let's get my favorite food. What would that food be?
So the thing I basically grab before I scream, I don't care about my life, and then I go
exactly. Perfect. That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
Is the Little Debbie zebra cake?
Oh, dude, I started eating those like crazy in quarantine. That's so weird that you say that.
Damn, Little Debbie zebra cakes are they are just the ultimate I don't care about my life snack. Yeah. It is oil and sometimes butter and probably frosting and multiple cases of food coloring and not even actual chocolate put into a octagon of hatred, but you just love it after you eat it because you're just like, man, this is so good and I don't care about my life, but I'm just going to do it anyway because it just gives me that dopamine. And then you eat it, and then you're like, oh, that almost had flavor and almost possibly was almost maybe nutritious in some form or fashion. But like, I think I'm going to burn calories, but that could be rocket fuel. I don't know what this is that I just consumed, but it's now in my body and I must figure out ways to deal with this. So zebra cakes are the joint. Little Debbie, they get props. And If you would give me a second, my second would be a very niche one, which are orange and chocolate Milano cookies from Pepperidge Farm.
Those are
That's highly specific.
Those are very specific,
Whoa.
but they are the best cookies that Pepperidge Farm will make.
It said orange and what now? What is
orange Milano cookies? So they're orange and chocolate.
Orange chocolate orange, yeah.
Orange, yeah, chocolate and orange.
Yeah, they don't have usually the ones you find are like at most stores. It's just the dark chocolate one, and then like the mint.
Yeah, which are unreasonable because they just taste like every other cookie. They don't really do anything else that's special. And then you might get the raspberry one. Who knows where those raspberries have been? You don't know.
Or if it's real raspberry. Again, we don't know. We don't know what they're doing.
But we know it's real orange, so of course, yeah. So, makes perfect sense. It checks out.
It checks out. Yeah, it checks out.
Same color as most oranges, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, totally fine. On a spiritual level,
yes,
I agree with the zebra cakes. I have not even thought of a Little Debbie zebra cake like a decade. I forgot they existed because I said to myself a long time ago when I hit my 20s and I realized that gaining weight was a real thing that could happen to me. I was like, you get away from me, you delicious devil. Don't talk to me. Don't look at me anymore. Get out of my house. Don't talk to me or my son ever again. I immediately want to shove like 10 Little Debbie zebra cakes in my mouth right now. I miss that taste. Oh, like the texture, the ribbed or the chocolate lines, bruh. Oh my gosh.
It is ambrosia for the fat, and I'm okay with that, and I'm all right with it.
I'm borderline emotional. I want you to know that.
I love zebra cakes.
Zebra cakes. So
you're like, I'll just have one. I'll just have 7.
Oh my!
There's no more. They're gone.
No, there was never enough in the pack.
Ooh, buy 2 boxes.
My favorite thing to say is, I got to get these out of the house through my stomach. Babe, there's only 5 more. I could totally take these down tonight. And then tomorrow, we can start our diet.
It'd be wasteful to throw them away.
It'd be wasteful.
Peloton bikes, do they? No,
exactly.
Think about the environment, Kate.
Eat
these don't biodegrade. What are you thinking?
You're being irresponsible. It reminds me too, dude.
I drive a Tesla. I'm eating these.
Honey, I'm saving the damn planet. I can eat a zebra cake. Sorry, that's a huge tangent. Side note, though, honorable mention, shout out for me personally, because now you got me on a roll. Little Debbie strawberry shortcake rolls.
Ooh.
Oh my.
Dude, nutty bars. What are the hot honey buns?
Oh, honey buns.
Oh.
Sorry about that.
There's a debate there, though.
Did you just slam your whole desk?
There's a debate between the Little Debbie honey buns and the Drake honey buns.
Oh yeah,
that is a bodega classic. The Drake honey bun.
The Drake honey bun.
I've never heard of Drake honey bun.
Frosting on it as opposed to the kind of clear frosting on it.
Oh yeah. It always comes down to I always go like, which one's bigger? Because that's important. Right? Which one? And then Little Debbie looks at you like, we got jumbo honey buns. You're like, all right, well, you win.
I heard someone. When I was back home, I was walking back into the bodega to go grab some Little Debbie cakes. And I actually heard this muttered from someone while also going to get a honey bun. They were rummaging through them and kind of picking through, and they said out loud, I have to try to figure out where the fresh one is. I was like, fam.
Flipping through like a Rolodex. Like
those were all made at least 8 weeks ago.
Yeah. I was like, first of all, you walked into a bodega and said the word fresh. That doesn't work. You should just automatically be teleported from the bodega when you say that. That should be like an ick word in a bodega to be like, yo, fresh is a thing. What are you?
You're a Whole Foods.
You get teleported out of the bodega. Like, what the hell?
Like, how am I here? What is this? This is quinoa? What the hell? There's quinoa around me now. What happened?
Fresh. Outstanding. Well, what an answer. Usually it's like we ask that question. That question is morphed over our 52 episodes. But it used to be just like straight fast food. Like, what's your favorite fast food? But honestly, I like the fast food question. I think it's really good. But there's only so many chains, right? There's like only so many fast foods. They're like, all right, we've heard Taco Bell like 5 times or whatever, which is fine.
Yeah.
But if you're like, oh, what's that one food? And you're like, Little Debbie zebra cakes. That's freaking awesome.
Right?
That's so good.
All
Yeah, we
right.
get to know a little bit more about you and that you like, really, really garbage food, which is fine.
I will cop to that. Little Debbie cakes, White Castle hamburgers, all those things. Those are all unreasonable things that I crave at some point.
You like
White
small
class,
things
white
generally in a square to circle format.
I didn't think about that until just now. That was
2 bites maximum.
I feel like I should actually pay you for some therapy. That just happened.
2 bites max.
We actually have a term
Oh, man.
in the baseball world called the White Castle Special.
Oh,
You want
Do
to
I
know
want to know what that is? Can you
Please.
talk about it?
Slider.
Mm.
Strike out. You strike out a guy on all the sliders. That's a
I
white
thought
guy.
there was some correlation between just punching yourself in the stomach and then taking yourself to the bathroom.
That too, yeah. Also, if you just blow it, you poop down your leg. It's also called a White Castle Special.
It's a hell of an image. All right.
Okay.
Real quick, before you move on, I just got to know, what's the favorite spot in Portland? As a Portlander, I just need to know what's
Okay,
the
the
spot.
Portland question.
Yes,
You
I
can
just
put it in the
I just
form we
need
could
to
ask
know
for
what
8
his
p.m.
spot is.
You mean like just food in general?
Yes, the spot you go to, the spot you love.
There is a spot called Jam on Hawthorne
Ooh,
that was open for a bit, and they make the bomb, super good Maddie cake. So they're basically pancakes, but they have this here in Portland, and especially we love boysenberries, which I didn't understand was the thing. And they basically make this compote that's made out of boysenberries, and they put it on the Maddie cakes. But really, I go in there for the big ass drinks. The drinks are huge. They have big mimosas, like size of your leg parts.
I love it.
Just like it's a calf size mimosa.
Boysenberry pancakes and mimosas, the most Portland thing ever. Love it. Love that.
Yep.
Outstanding. PM, we know you're from Portland. Oh, you don't have to
Yeah, okay.
shut up Portland every time.
I
There's
know
some
that.
Portland,
Look, I
come
get
on,
it.
man.
But what I'm asking is, like, what I'm
We get
saying
it.
is, this is the first guest from my hometown, and so I really want to know. Like, I was trying to tell you this in your stream. We're a very diverse food culture here, and you don't seem to believe that. And I think he could tell us that, yeah, we are a diverse food culture here, and we have many options.
Yeah, you probably.
Portland food really quick, because I know you have an actual agenda to talk about during the show.
No, it's fine.
But I think
Yeah.
being from being from a very huge foodie town in terms of New York, and then moving to Portland, the thing that I found the most interesting was that Portland is a foodie town that does bar fare really well. So like if you're like because basically you have to have a food wherever there is drink that is sold. It's a part of the laws here in Portland and part of the stuff in Oregon and stuff. So you have to have food there. So they will often, and you can speak to this, PM, like tots are a thing here that is just like tater tot, the thing that I never knew was going to be like a delicacy or things that you would fancy up because they are stupid. They're dumb pieces of food. There's a dumb way to package potatoes.
We have great bar food. Great bar food.
Great bar food. Yeah. So if you want to come and like drink and then eat, you're in a good spot.
Yeah. My shout out to White Owl. Taco Tuesday, $1 tacos, $1 tequila shots, $1 tecates.
Yeah, that sounds like a horrible day.
And you think the tacos are bad? No, the tacos are really good.
Oh, I'm sure all three of the things are good. Just mix them all together and then bad.
Oh yeah.
Also, dude, we're in a pandemic.
A zebra cake out of all of that.
You should be at home. Okay. Cool. And you know what? You never get excited. Dude, I grew up literally 35 minutes north of Portland. So it's like, but I was an adult really in Portland. So I guess we wouldn't have a lot of the same references. But I did go to Old Navy all the time to get my school clothes because there's no sales tax.
Yes.
Smart.
Yeah.
Oh, there
Across
you
the
go.
border.
Okay.
No property tax in Washington, right? The no
Live in
sales
Washington,
tax in Oregon.
no income tax or property tax.
Smart.
Buy your stuff in Oregon.
It's definitely a streamer's haven over there. For sure. Well, for the sake of moving on, just really tired of talking about Portland. Great place to live, I guess. So obviously we were talking about that you've been in the industry for a long time, Kahlief. So we wanted to know what was your first experience or exposure to live streaming as it exists? Whether it was YouTube or Twitch or whatever it may be, / podcasting, right? Like, what was the first time you heard that and thought to yourself, like, I can do this. Like, I want to do this, and I want it to be like a career. Like, I want to do this.
Yeah, I think for me it was way back actually. The days of Justin TV were the actual times when I was like, oh, this is a thing that is going to be bigger than what we have expectations for, and this is going to change the way that we have and consume some of the media that we wind up kind of thinking about in the gaming space. It was, of course, when I was watching Justin TV, it was the wildest of Wild Wests. Back then, there was just debauchery happening. There was just nakedness everywhere. There was random stuff happening in Uno games. I was just like, wow,
yeah,
this is the best thing on the planet. How do I?
Yeah.
That definitely doesn't happen anymore.
I mean, never happens on this Twitch.tv. And I think that was a space because I'm a little bit of old media stuff. I had a college radio show when I was back in school. And video was still a place that was kind of unattainable unless you had a fair amount of money, or if you had, the rich uncle or you had the person who can kind of get you into a space where that was a thing. And then streaming as a whole, just because of the hardware limitations, was just hard to do. Like, I remember everyone trying to stream with a with a Dazzler to connect their machines to their streaming apparatus. It was like not a thing that everybody wanted to see. It was like, oh, that 480p stream, that's real sexy right now. You killing it right now.
12 frames per second.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, that was all you could do at that point.
Yes.
And then I just remember there was this significant jump in just both fidelity and variety, and Twitch started to come into its own, because I think a lot of folks still forget that Twitch as a entity is still kind of young in its in its time on the planet. Like, it's not that old. It's probably less than 20 years old in terms of Justin TV all the way to the Twitch we have now.
Mm-hmm.
So there's been a lot of change in between that time, and I think I remember specifically one of the first folks who I started to watch on a consistent basis was Man vs. Game.
Oh wow, yeah.
And when in his heyday, when he was at his pinnacle, he was killing it. He was everywhere. And I just remember the difference between what he was doing and a lot of other folks were trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course it evolved, and now we are kind of in this way new and cooler version of the internet that everywhere we go, Twitch is kind of a part of the way that we consume so much of our gaming news and conversation. And me now doing this, kind of bridging the gap between what I would deem as kind of old media with podcasts in the kind of audio form, and then what we're all doing now on Twitch, kind of giving it a visual flair and some style now. It's dope. Like, I wouldn't have expected it to get to this way as fast as it has, and to see just how much innovation has happened from the streamer side of the fence. That has just given so many people the ability to make money in this, to be, to have a career in streaming, to bridge, certain parts of their aspects that they've been kind of, relying on, to say, like, me, I found a job because of the podcasting that I've been doing for the past couple of years. Right. So we live in this really amazing time when a lot of folks are just like, man, the gaming industry is bad and we have a lot of stuff that's terrible. Yes, there's a lot of stuff that's there, but the perspective that I have now of seeing just how far we've come in such a short amount of time, we live in fantastic times. This is an amazing time to be a creator. This is an amazing time to, take hold of what the internet can give you and bridge that out into making dreams happen and saving people and helping people in ways that we couldn't do before. So I'm always just kind of astounded at technology in that way, and how we've kind of moved forward. And the space is in a good spot right now.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that right now is kind of like, without knowing the future, it feels like kind of the golden age, like the gold rush, as it were, of streaming, where you kind of know what you're doing, right? I remember something as simple. I don't know why I remember this, but something as simple. I was like, I'm gonna face my lamp like towards me, so that I have more light in my camera. And someone was like, whoa, what the, did you get a new camera? What the hell is this? And I was like, no, I just pointed a lamp towards me. They're like, revolutionary. And it was like everyone was like, oh my god, it's amazing. So like you were like seat of your pants figuring out streaming.
Yeah.
And no one wanted to pay anyone to do anything. No one wanted to collaborate. Like streamers were getting
race.
Oh yeah. These streamers were getting taken advantage of left, right, and center to take a Trevorism. And no one knew what they were doing. Now it's like there's standard things for computers, there's standard things for cameras and for lighting and all this stuff. So yeah, I think you're right. And actually, content creators, for the most part, right, or at least more than they were, are actually getting paid for their work, for what they're doing, and they're not afraid to work together. Like there was this whole stigma. You could not, like, don't work with this person because they're going to steal your audience. Never mind that they may be like a better content creator than you, but they're going to freaking take your audience if you work with them. So I think you're right. I would agree with you. I think we're kind of in a more of a golden age. But.
Yeah, I don't even think that whole like stealing your audience, that was never even like a thing. Like, I mean, there's elements of it happening, but it's not like straightforward like that. It's like, no, people say, oh, I like watching that more, and then they go watch it. Like there's no like emotional connection. Exactly. There's no like emotional connection. There's like, I'm gonna leave my brother to go hang out with my friend. Like that's not how it is.
Yeah.
It's just like, you know, people like, I want to spend time doing this thing because I like it, and then what that thing is just changes, and just that's it. That's all there really is. But one thing I liked what you said, Kahlief, was about how many people are like being creative with their content and then using it to solve like real problems. There's a prime example. I listened to a podcast, a new one, called Creator Economics. I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's by Blake Robbins, who helped. I've mentioned him probably the last 4 straight episodes, but Blake Robbins, who did with 100 Thieves, and then Mr. Beast Manager. So they have a podcast together, and they were talking about Mr. Beast releasing his restaurant. They just, because they remember when they just were like, hey, we have 300 restaurants, surprise, and everyone's like, what? How did you just pull that off in 6 months? And because he's amazing. But what everyone thought was he was like opening restaurants like ghost kitchens, to where it was just like, you know, kitchen opens and then they just only do delivery. They're like taking business away. But in reality, what he did was created a coalition of a bunch of restaurants that already existed, and then taught them how to make the burgers to give them more business. And there was a revenue share. So I was like, oh, so basically he used his clout, his huge, amazing, you know, he can mobilize millions of people, which is both terrifying and awesome at the same time. But to try to bolster the restaurant industry during the pandemic. And I didn't think about and he's like, yeah, it more from, you know, how can we do this, to, oh, here's the added benefit. Like we could, if we just get a bunch of people excited and we just give them our assets, and then we just do a revenue share. And so we can just bolster their business. And then of course Uber Eats, and it was app agnostic. So all these drivers got extra business, right? They actually got, like the one in Seattle, I know for sure, got absolutely swamped. They just ran out of people. They had thousands of orders in 24 hours. Like there was like 10 Uber drivers. They're like,
sorry,
I I'll get it in 6 hours when they make it. I don't know what to do. I'm sorry. I don't know what to do. So there was problems with that. And he said, Reed said, he's like, frankly, I just didn't think that. I had no idea that would happen. Like, I didn't think it would be that big of a deal. It's just, but it was so interesting that he did that on purpose, and that's just so clever. It's just like, that's rethinking. And of course they had a partner help them like organize it all, but it was just it's like a whole brand new business idea that's changed because of the way the world is. And it was just completely brought on by a content creation and because of the way he thinks.
I mean, one of the things that a lot of people don't understand or think about when they go into this field or go into this hobby, or, you know, this thing that we're all doing now with our time and talent and tool set, is a thing I hear often from folks who are making content is like, Ka, how did you make that jump from, you know, your non-full-time job to a full-time job? How did you make your hobby into something that you get paid for in a better way?
Yeah.
And I told him, I said, you have to understand that everything that you are doing currently to set up your stream, to market your stream, to market yourself, to put together all the nuts and bolts that make you, Those are all tools in your toolbox. Those are all things that are marketable. Those are all things you can put on a resume tomorrow and say, I run AV, I run marketing, I run merch, I run technical stuff. I am in, like all those things are things that you can put on a resume to say that these are actual skills that I use to make money. And as soon as you get that first bit or that first Prime sub, that's now you have made money from the skills that you have built. And that's a beautiful thing because that's the thing that most people don't believe that they are doing, but they absolutely are.
They are. Yeah,
exactly.
It's the thing that you can absolutely kind of market and pull into other stuff.
Paul and I have actually talked about this quite a bit. And just because of how live streaming is, because live streaming is different than just when you only post on YouTube, which is different than only podcasting, which is different than only doing radio. Like they all different, have different amounts of time you need to put into them being live, and then more time off stream and all that kind of stuff. So like there's gonna come, I mean, I play professional baseball. Like I just during the season I just don't have time. So like don't have time to do as much as I do in the off season. And you have to be honest with that and know that, okay, but the value is, so people would ask me like, why do you go full time in the off season when you just can't continue it? Because it's all about consistency. I say, first of all, I'm building a lot of skills, which is really important. But the long term, if you are the brand and everything is centered around you as a person, and then you kind of step back from being like the front facing content creator, you have all of these skills to help someone else. Someone who might have more of that oomph as being the front facer, someone younger or something. So like you see a lot of content creators might start stepping back as they get older, or they just built a family. They just don't want to do it as much. And then they start doing behind the scenes, helping other people build their streams and just avoid all the mistakes they just made for 10 years. That's all value. Like you said, you just built a toolkit. So if you like become a consultant and you start managing people because you did it for 10 years and you have all this great experience, you can help them get there way faster and make that your business. So there's always ways to pivot as long as you're building the skills and just recognize the fact that you are building skills. And it's really like there is no my favorite entrepreneur in the world, Gary Vee, says there's just no failing. Like you either learn from a bunch of stuff you just did wrong, or you pull it off.
Yeah, and you learn nothing.
And that, I mean, I feel like that's definitely the super optimistic, positive way to think about things. And it's always going to be like that. But if you approach it with that mindset, you tend to like feel successful no matter what happens.
Gary's really wrong.
Yeah,
he's been right a lot. He's another New York guy. I can't wait to meet that guy in person.
I love that guy. He definitely changed the way I do the show.
Yeah,
he changed. We had a 3-person crew. Maybe last year or the year before, is maybe 2 years at this point. And there was a conversation about like energy. Energy is important. The people that you surround yourself with, the people that you build with, the people that you do stuff with is super important. And if you find yourselves kind of moving in different directions and you don't feel like you're moving in the same direction with the same force and energy, sometimes you have to split off and do your stuff on your own. And since we've had that split, like the show has tripled its numbers. You're doing a whole bunch of stuff. It's been a wild 2020. I learned a lot about those skills during COVID. I was producing shows for a whole bunch of people with some names that you might have heard of before. So it's like a lot of stuff that you wind up doing because of you needing to pivot and make those moves. And
just and don't ever see it as a failure, man. It's just like it's more of you catching on to something and be like, ooh, that's a good change. Get excited about that change as opposed to be like, oh, the other thing didn't work. And that's a very Gary thing. To be honest, Paul always gives me like you're an ideas man. You got tons of energy. I mean, honestly, I listen to the dude all the time when I need to pick up. And I do have a ton of energy, and I feel like you can sleep when you're dead. Frankly, that's just the way. That's just the way I am. Like I don't need to do. I just don't. I don't like. It's not a need thing. It's just like I love it. I wake up every morning super excited. And that's what you're looking for, right? But specifically, actually, I think that this is a great opportunity. So you just looking at your setup, I mean, that is, I'm sure the morphing that's done over the years is just like,
it's kind of like, it's embarrassing. If you could just have a green screen behind you next time for the next YouTube video we do for the podcast, that'd be preferable. Just good Lord.
That is gorgeous.
Is that a giant custom soundproofing with your logo on it?
Yes, it is. Yes, it
Son
is.
of a oh my god,
that's so cool.
If for folks who might not have seen the most recent show, so this is all debuted last night. It took me about 2 weeks to get all this stuff together. Again, we've been building this thing out for 7 years, and this year we'll be in our 8th. And one of the things I needed, because luckily I stole the basement from my wife and was like, "Can I have the basement, please?" And she was like, "Get the hell away from me. Go downstairs."
We're not even married. Who are you?
Yeah.
Same. Yeah.
How did you get in here? So I was upstairs for a long period of time, and it was just noisy. And as a podcaster, noise and anything that messes up with the flow of your sound bothers.
Right, Trevor. Right, Trevor. Yeah.
Yep.
No, we know. Yeah. Right, Trevor. Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I stole the basement, and there's 2 parts to it. So this is going to be the podcasting space where we do most of that stuff. I'll be doing some product reviews and things like that over there. And I was like, we have to make this something special. I finally have some space. I need to get some sound treatment, and there's a great company that does custom art on your sound panels. So we had to do one with our Power Fist logo version of that stuff, which we have on all our merch and stuff. And then that one over there is just big normal logo stuff, and all of the colors all are representative of our brand colors. So it's all of those things combined was a really fun project to get together. So
we're both gonna ask the same question.
Yep. Who is
What's
it?
the company called?
Yeah.
They do soundproofing and sound boards. I believe they're called ATS. ATS is the name of the company. I'll link you both at some point. But one of the part that is the most exciting is the if you watch the opening of our show, we basically have a jib shot in the shot. So basically, if you don't know what a jib is, it's a camera that basically moves in multiple different directions. When you come into the show, basically like the camera comes in and down towards me, and then it comes.
Oh, very cool.
And I'm a big tech nerd anyway. So, wanting to, again, going back to the conversation about, starting Twitch and what Twitch could be, it is, everyone's looking for a little bit of a different flavor, right? Everyone kind of has, and not kind of has, there's a aesthetic now that is very popular. That is like, how many nano leaves can I put in a room, right? and
I feel offended. I'm offended directly.
I love your logo because it's your logo and it's neon. Yeah. That's fine. That's dope.
Yeah.
Action just stuff is just always dope as well. Like, but I think that there is an aesthetic right now that's like, how much RGB can I get in here? Can I sit on RGB? Can I make my room look like Michael Jackson's floor when he walked on it? There's got to be a way.
Now you got to get the galaxy everywhere too from Instagram, like the galaxy light that makes the whole room like you're in space now.
Yeah, and I'm like, that's dope. I appreciate it, but it is a thing where, for me, there are 2 things I hate kind of right now at most in the world. One is I hate the fact that YouTube thumbnails all look the same. It's annoying. And I kind of don't like the fact that everyone's streams look the same. And I'm just like, there's so many ways that you can add a little bit of flavor to your setup, but also it also doesn't feel like a lot of people are actually showcasing who they are and what they do in that respect, because there's this idea of like, if I don't look like this, I'm not going to get views. Or if I don't look like that, I'm not going to connect in a way that everybody else is kind of excited for. And for me,
go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No. I was going to say, I feel like people also lack vision. Like they don't know what to do, so they just copy someone they like.
Yes. And right now, this is still like 1.0 of what this setup is going to wind up being. There's a whole other space on the other side that I'm going to be building out to have a second place to do some more streaming. But I think here, I come from a space that wanted this to look more professional in a way that is not just stream ready. I'm thinking about this in terms of bigger spaces and bigger ideas of like, what does a content space actually look like that's functional, usable, and looks kind of dope? So I think we landed in a good spot so far. I'm excited for where we're at. There's still more time to kind of mess with it. I got some new gear, and Amazon was knocking on my door before I came on the show. I was like, yes, I got the new thing.
Nice. I've been so excited for Amazon to deliver something today, but I can't talk about it because it's a secret for the stream tomorrow. But hey, my question is, does your space make you happy right now?
Oh, I'm so happy.
Beautiful. There you go. Like, that is what we're looking for. If you want to put your camera behind your monitor, Cloaksy, it's fine as long as it makes you happy, right? It doesn't have to look any specific way. But we KonMari my office recently. This was a nightmare behind me before, and I woke up in the morning like I was just like I wasn't wearing a robe, but it felt like I was wearing a robe. You know what I mean? One of those situations. But So you've come a long way. That it's amazing that we did the pod, and then like the day before you redid your office too. We saw that jib thing. That is one of the coolest things. Another guy who does something really cool like that. He is a long time. I met him in Tim's chat. I think he's like a 90-month Tim the Tatman sub, but he's Activator. And he's got the he's had the DSLR for like 8 years. He's had the best quality, but it just like pans over his monitor the whole stream, which is and it stays on him. That's super cool. Like if that's something you're interested in, and I know he's in film and he's actually that's his profession, his career. And so when you can put flavor of things that like you either did, like people who make music and maybe they stream video games mostly, but every once in a while they do music, or they make all their own music for their own stream. Like putting your own flavor in like that. I love it. I love that stuff.
I also really quick, because I feel like we have excuse me, a decent amount of listeners who are either not streaming or thinking about it or just trying to get into it. You do not need a rig to start streaming. You could just get going. Like you don't need like a full setup. I would say if you're going to invest money in anything, there's maybe two things. I would say personally, are probably the most important: a GPU, and a decent sounding audio setup. Like it doesn't have to be great. There's a lot of cheap options, but I will turn off a stream, in my opinion, faster if it has bad audio than if it has bad video. Like
100%. Bad audio is
awful.
Yeah.
Oh. But somebody had the feedback thing going once for like an hour, and it was just like going for an hour.
Who was that again?
Devin Williams, maybe.
Devin Williams.
So, and he didn't know. He couldn't hear it. So everyone's like, "It's feedback." Oh god, chat was just losing it, and he was like looking at his phone. I was like, "Oh no." It was like an audio nuclear bomb went off.
You're talking about the NBA player who was like repeating his words because like he was he had his stream open, and so he was like, "Is this thing on?" And he'd be like, "Is this thing on? Is this thing on? Is this thing on?" And it just got louder and louder, and I'm just like, "Oh my!" 5 minutes straight.
You know this too because you're running the boards. There is nothing better to hear as a podcaster than to say like, "So how familiar are you?" It's like, "Oh, I have my own show." You're like, "Yes, sweet Jesus."
Yo, thank God. Oh yeah.
Let me see. Oh yes, thank you God. You know.
Yeah, there's some streamers who I do want to reach out to, but I'm terrified audio wise, like terrified, and I don't know what I'm gonna do when it comes to that point because some people are beyond saving. I kind of feel like. Like
part of their brand now. They can't have good audio.
I don't know if you're really into you guys aren't really into the Fortnite community anymore, but Stable Ronaldo, he's a younger 16-year-old streamer. Kid is literally peaking. Like he could be talking like this. He's peaking. He's peaking when he's doing it, and I'm like, bro, just turn it to the left. Turn it to the left, like 3 or 4 dials. You are fine. And
we fired up PM guys.
Bro.
Dude, biggest pet peeve for sure.
And PM's obviously the audio guy and produces music, so he's got an ear for everything, just like I listen to music too, and there's certain things I catch that I hate and no one else catches and they love the song, and it's your burden to bear.
Real quick, Tooth in the chat said sometimes trash audio is the brand. This is a piece of advice for anyone who wants to do this. Do not make that your brand. Okay, don't.
Let it happen organically if it happens.
Yeah, if it does, that's fine, but you're not going to make like bad gameplay your brand. So don't make trash audio your brand. Like literally spend there's plenty of budget options. There's a way to go around it. You don't need to be peeking. It's just one Google search on a YouTube. I'm done. I'm going to go down a huge rabbit hole.
You go get a glass of water, dude.
You mean it's not perfect to just have your stuff at like plus 35 dB?
If you have the Shure, that's fine.
Just screaming into it. Shut up! Just screaming.
Mine peaked for a while too. We had to figure it out for a long time. And as you guys like to joke, it's still terrible. So,
no, it's so good, dude.
But what the last question before we move on to actually the most important, most excited part. But I would love to know if you could give one tip to someone who's starting in any sort of they want to create. What's a tip that's something that seemed like you never thought of, but it was so obvious when you realized, oh wow, I should have done this the whole time. What's one thing that you would give them? One tip you would give them?
Start with trash audio. Make sure your audio. I mean,
I can't.
talk into two twin tin cans back to back. I think for me, I think the thing I learned the most right out the gate was I was always afraid to ask people for help. Like that was a huge thing. There's a lot of pride in streaming. There's a lot of pride in content creation. And a lot of folks are really afraid because they're just like that it's a tell that like, I don't know what I'm doing. And I feel like that's a thing that you have to get over early. Most people who are in this industry didn't know what they were doing until they figured it out. And that's a huge thing to kind of remember when you're going through this journey of content creation and making stuff for other people is you have to be okay with not knowing things. It's one of the best parts of working in IT when I was working in IT was that it's one of the only jobs you can ever have where the answer is, I don't know. And that's a valid answer.
Yep.
You're just like, I don't know. I'll find out though. And I think that's a part of it is being able to understand that no one has started their career, big, small, medium, whatever size you may be, knowing all the things. All of this stuff that you see here took at least 10 years of learning and practicing, and I still get it wrong even when I go live now to get things done. I've had big shows with big name people, and I've had trash audio because things just went wrong the day of. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you have to kind of figure your way through that part and understand that, like, yeah, it wasn't great that time out, but if you have that want to continue to kind of push out and make good content, then you will continue to kind of learn whatever it is that you kind of are missing in that moment, and you'll get there at some point. So keep pushing. That's the biggest part. Just keep pushing. Everyone is a novice at some point, and people who really care will actually take the time to show you what you need to do.
Yeah, I very much appreciate that. I mean, I think that's good just for life. Worked in IT as well, perhaps infamously at this point for Apple, and one of the things that you learn getting there, because I mean, being an Apple technician or whatever, you feel like you have to know everything about every Mac that's ever existed to give good advice to whoever comes in. Like, hey, I'm trying to connect to a printer to my 2001 MacBook Pro fall edition. And you're like, is that different than the winter edition? Like, I don't know. Like, maybe I should look at this. So like, you have no idea, but you don't have to know the answer, but you should know your resources. So take time to build up to know your resources. Maybe you do have a friend that's really good at video or audio or whatever, and you kind of know who to ask, not necessarily the answer itself. So I think that's, which I feel like is what you're saying as well. Yeah. And is really important for life as well as streaming. So that's a great tip.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. I'm definitely very much, I can do everything myself. I'll just learn it. I'll learn the code to do. And like, it's like, no, you won't. Like you might, but you're probably not going to. And then it's just gonna. It's just like when people help you and you have a vision for something, and you're like, these are the paths that, or these are the snags I'm going to have because I don't have the expertise to do it. But you have the ability to at least find people or ask them. You're going to execute that thing much better. Instead, you're going to hit the obstacle. You're going to get stuck yourself, and then you're going to give up because you don't ask for help, and then you didn't execute anything. You just wasted a bunch of time.
A perfect example. Sorry, Trevor, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, you're perfect.
A perfect example of this. I remember the honestly kind of relief in some ways when we even just asked PM to like do. I mean, obviously PM is very overworked, but like we're like, how do you feel about doing the game every now and then? He was like, yeah, totally. I want to do it. I was like, thank God. That's like, it was like a lot for me, like mentally, like thinking of like new games every week. It was like, oh my gosh, I've run out of ideas. I don't know. I would ask him for help anyway. I was like, what do you think we should do?
Yeah, just not math.
Monopoly. Should we play Monopoly this week?
No math.
Not 9-hour episode.
No math.
Monopoly.
Exactly. So just even something as simple as delegation within a group, like you're in a group of 3 or 4 people and you're taking on a lot, and you're just like, would you mind doing this on a more regular basis? And they're like, I've been waiting to do more work. You're like, really? And it works out for everybody. Or they're like, no, I don't really want to do that. And you're like, okay, maybe this won't work out. And you can learn and move on.
And there's lots of people out there that are trying to get. There's a lot of people out there that want to be full-time YouTube editors. There's a lot of people out there that want to be managers. There's a lot of people out there that want to do graphic design. There's a lot of creatives. There's a lot of people that are like just looking for opportunities to make stuff because they like it. And they're like, oh, if I made something cool for this person, maybe that'll give me an opportunity to make something cool for another person. There's people that just like, they don't want to stream, but they're streaming adjacent, right? and you need those people, and they're everywhere, and there's lots of places to find them. And if you're like, man, who can make my assets? I don't have a lot of money. Obviously, we want people to get paid, but there's someone who might be able to help you, or at least point you in the right direction. So just explore and don't get discouraged, because they exist. Twitter exists. Facebook exists. Everyone's attached to each other. You can DM anybody. You can call, 50 DMs. All you need is one person to say yes. That's
Yikes.
There's a Gary version. Garyism for you, but he's right. Everybody. It's not. You think about it, you're like, well, all I have to do is do the work, and it'll work. Like, it's true. It's just true. Right. But moving on to our before we get into the ad, we have our new segment. And I talked about it in the intro. We have the number 503-908-9526. We're gonna turn this into a song or something. I think we need a jingle.
Ooh, PM.
PM. There's your wheelhouse. But we had a great question. Unfortunately, when they gave their name at the beginning, because it is a on the phone like answering machine, it was like so I didn't really hear it. So it's from Anonymous. But it was a great question. I think we got into a lot of it, but I think we could just take what we've been talking about just a little bit further. Basically he asked how big does content creation, live streaming, anything like gaming and all that stuff, how big does it become in relation to the mainstream, and like how quickly? And I'll let you chew on a little bit, maybe give a little bit of my answer before, so let you guys come up with something for it. But basically he was just like, do you think in terms of viewership in general, like all eyeballs that consume content, which is billions of people right around the world, and we all think that everyone knows what Twitch is, but Twitch is really small compared to TV. It is, in terms of people who watch it regularly. It still is nowhere close. YouTube's closer, but in terms of online content regularly replacing TV, we're not as far along as a lot of people think. But I believe it's inevitable. And the control of people and their content on streaming services via the internet, whether that's live streaming video games, that's live streaming your radio show, your podcast, whatever, or live streaming literally shows, the ability to interact with a viewership in real time, it is going to be the standard. And TV doesn't do that, and the technology doesn't exist because of the way that TV exists and the way that the way you get in content, all the gatekeepers involved. The gatekeepers are going away, and that is just where the world's going. So obviously streaming is going to fall. So in my opinion, I think that mainstream, this is going to be when this group of young kids that the younger generation, the Gen Zs, and a lot of millennials as well, start to grow up and have families of their own. They're not going to sit down and watch a television show, and they're not going to sit down and watch a live sport or something. They're going to schedule it to live stream. Everything's going to be scheduled. It's going to be all internet based. The TV is going to be connected to some sort of streaming service. It's just going to be a big screen at that point. You're not going to need a box ever. Those are going to be gone when they're adults, like gone, not like, oh, small, like gone. It's going to be gone in 20 years, in my opinion.
Huh?
How do you guys feel about it?
Well, I was just going to say, I think pretty short and sweet. I think it's going to be circular. So
I think we're going to come back.
It's going to be the same thing. So it's going to be normal cable, but then streaming is going to be so scheduled that it's going to be like cable. So you're going to have the cooking streams and the sports streams and the video game streams, and you're going to have different media companies that host and sponsor these different streams, and we're going to find ourselves right back where Gen Z is like, isn't this what our parents used to do? Like, isn't this cable? That's kind of actually where I think it's going. I think that we follow the model of current television. I think it's going to end up right back where it was in 20 years. It just by a different name.
Yeah, I think the part that I'm more aligned with you on that, Paul. I think that what we're going to wind up seeing, and this is something that's happening right now, if you're really paying attention to the streaming spaces in both, North America and across the pond, especially in the Far East and China as well, is that mukbang was a thing and still is a thing that is huge in certain aspects. So that voyeurism that's happening within that space is very specific, right? Mm-hmm. Here with Twitch, it's kind of even more interesting because Twitch hasn't really had what we call original programming in a while, right? So it's really been reliant on all of us to be able to make the content, whatever flavor that may be, whatever things you are currently into, whether that may be ASMR or what, if you're doing now VTubers is a big thing in that space now. I think it's going to wind up circling back into kind of more original content that's going to wind up having to have to come from the platform itself, because there are just too many people on the platform, right?
Yeah.
There's too many things to see, and there's not a lot of talent that's bubbling to the top anymore. Everything is kind of evening out. Like everyone who has been big or who has gotten big, it either is a 1 to 2 year clip and they kind of, come back down to earth, or they hit that meteoric kind of like rise, but they've been doing that work for probably 7 to 10 years already anyway, and they're going to age out, right?
Yeah.
Like no one wants, like, I know a lot of people are like, we don't want to age gate stuff, but this is a young person's game in a lot of different ways. I know, it's a young person's game in a lot of different ways. I will not be here at the age of 62 talking about, hello, hi, welcome to the Spawn. Let me get my Geritol.
I mean, you can do it. No one gonna watch you do it though.
I have 0 viewers, but I will get my Geritol. Geritol sponsorship will be locked in, right?
Yeah.
But I think that's going to be the problem, right? Is like we have to still try to figure out how we're going to cultivate really good talent that gives and bridges across a bunch of different things. It's actually really interesting because we just did the Action. You and I, we just did the NFL Thursday night football streams, right?
Yeah. Yep.
We just finished up that whole deal, which was fantastic.
Oh yeah.
I want to see more of those things happen in the space. I think that will be what we see help kind of elongate these conversations and then try to figure out what that is. Like MLB having a thing and we having streamers kind of stream that stuff. I'm dying for an NBA version of that to happen in a real way because I'm a big NBA fan.
Yeah.
Like those things will take the place of what we think of original content to be, is streamers co-streaming with other activities that we are already kind of knowing, loving. So
I mean, that gives the access part of it too. That's the biggest thing with this. That's the difference. That's the biggest difference though with TV, right? That is the literal the thing that is just doesn't exist at all on TV at all. Like the only thing I can really think back is the only sort of access or even interaction was literally when we would vote for American Idol with our phones. Right? Remember that? I remember being like, Mom, press 3. She's like, no, I like 2 better. I'm like, Mom, use your phone. Because I don't have one because I'm a child. And we got big fights about that.
Great story.
Yeah. But like that's all. And then no one did that after that.
No one did after that. I mean, think about it in the gaming space. The last time we really had something like that was that big in mass, that had a mass amount of people, was back on the Xbox 360 with one versus 100, right?
Yeah.
That game was a huge part of that thing. I think
I don't recall that game.
The biggest play that I would love to see Twitch do, and they can't do it because NBC already snagged it, is I want Twitch to snag the Olympics.
Dude.
If Twitch snags the Olympics at some point,
chance.
And have streamers connected to that, is game-changing in an actual way.
Bro, I can't tell you how quickly I would co-stream ice curling. I can't even...
Wait, you like curling?
Bro, are you kidding me? It's like one of my favorite things to watch.
Like, curling's on.
There's 2 winter sports that blow out all the other sports. Curling, ice curling, and the freaking one where they're like skating around and then like they shoot targets and then they freaking like keep going.
What's it called? It's cross country skiing with shooting.
It's fascinating.
It's so dope. Curling is fantastic, and people shade me all the time for loving curling.
Dude, curling is incredible.
Curling is fire. I went curling here in the Pacific Northwest. It is one of the hardest things to do.
Is it really?
Oh, yeah, it's really freaking hard. Yeah, I've done it.
It is really hard to do, especially if you've worked an IT job for 10 years. You can't move your body.
You can't move. You're full of little Debbies, and you can't move.
You have no hip. There are no hip muscles left. You need those to get into the position to do curling well.
Also, I think it's called decathlon. That's the
decathlon. Okay, it's a much simpler name than I thought it was.
They do a bunch of crazy stuff.
We need to do some curling content at some point. I'm down.
That would be sick.
Trying everything now. Let's do it.
I think you're right, dude. I think the a whole co-streaming thing where like we have a it's someone explained this to me. Another content creator that I thought was so great is just the idea that like you get to sit down in a room and hang out with your buds and watch a game. The same thing would be happening if they come to our stream, sit down and watch the game with us. Like, it's cool to hear the announcers and all that good stuff, but what makes a football game like really enjoyable? How many people, I'm sure a lot of people do, especially now in these times, watch games alone, but you probably prefer to watch it like with your people, boys or with your friend, like whatever. And you have that kind of back and forth, that conversation was so fun. So yeah, I think you're right. I think it's more of like maybe the Food Network gets involved and there's like, we watch Gordon Ramsay make a steak and like we all talk about it. Stuff like that. But yeah, I think you're right. I think if Twitch is somehow able to broker more of those deals, it'd be more fun. However, I think it does kind of flip back into what Trevor said of like gating it. So only Northeast can watch it. Like we kind of ran into those issues with the NFL. People come and be like, "Why can't I see what's going on?" Oh, you live in Brazil. I'm sorry, I don't. I'd be like, I would do it. I can't. It's not me. So yeah, I think those kind of feed into each other a little bit.
Also, sorry, quick side note to that. Chrome only supports that too. So in Safari and in other internet browsers, you can't actually watch the NFL as well. So that's already cutting out a lot of people too.
Yeah, but professional sports are they're all about, I mean, it's a whole thing.
Licensing.
But TV deals are the majority of their money, and the more ways they can make people pay more money to the more paywalls they create, the more money they make and then just business wise, that's people like they have enough market share to where people will pay it. So that's just what they do. But again, like the whole thing is, how do you monetize streaming? And they're figuring out a lot of ways to do it. And it's come along. It's come a long way since, I started streaming almost 5 years ago too. So like they're figuring it out, and there's going to be some clever way of monetization somehow on the front end or on the back end, because it's very front end. Like media is just front end business model. It's archaic and it's old, but slowly they're figuring out how it pays bigger dividends in the back end. You just can't. It's hard to pitch that stuff to investors. And stuff. It's just they got to figure that stuff out in a simple way. But they're going to do it. And generally, I think for example, an amazing idea is this what's it called? Fan controlled football. That's going to be freaking sweet. Yeah. I think the Zappers are going to win the whole thing. What do you guys think?
A little self-plug.
We got Johnny Manziel. Don't forget to register. All right. Those are coming soon, but we'll see how that works. Imagine playing Madden with your favorite Twitch chat.
Actually, yes, very sick. With that said, since we're talking about so many different sports, let's talk about balls for a second.
Let's
everybody.
Get it. Give it to us, Paul.
My goodness. Listen up, fellas. 2020 obviously sucked. Okay? It's the new year, so you deserve to get some new balls. All right? Our sponsor, Manscaped, is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming, offering precision-engineered tools for your family jewels, helping nearly 2 million men all over the world. That's Brazil. That's Australia. That's South Dakota. Okay? Getting rid of the hair all over their balls, especially South Dakota. Sorry if you live there. If you let yourself go in 2020 while in quarantine, Manscaped is here to reboot and stay clean in 2021. I'll be honest. I've been using Manscaped now since we've been sponsored, and I got to be honest, it's very sharp, and clean, and fresh. I mean, that blade has not gone dull yet. Has your blade gone dull yet, Trevor? You got a dull blade?
Not a single dull blade, Paul.
No, you haven't. Because it's friggin' incredible. Took that thing in the shower. No electrocution. Zero electrocution taking that thing in the shower. It's fantastic. Washes right away. Everything. I put it all over. I shaved my eyebrow off once. I didn't actually do that. Manscaped is here to give you a fresh start. So come out of quarantine with clean balls. Thanks to the Lawnmower 3.0. This waterproof and skin-safe trimmer will reduce nicks to your two best friends. The third generation trimmer even has a light to give you the glow you need in 2021. It's also time to freshen up down there with this new year with the Crop Preserver. It's an anti-chafing ball deodorant and moisturizer. You already put deodorant on your armpits. Why not put a little bit of that stuff on your ball sack? The smelliest part of your body, for being honest, Jim. Random viewer I called out named Jim. as well as the Crop Reviver, the ball toner spray. Look, 2020 was awful, so make sure your boys are refreshed and ready for new beginnings in 2021. Manscaped even threw in their shed travel bag to keep all your goodies stored comfortably. And speaking of comfort, Manscaped has anti-chafing ball boxers. Boxer briefs, wear them all the time. They're outstanding. They say Manscaped right in the front, so you know what the frick is up as soon as you see them. For some reason, you're walking around pantless, you see those boxers, you see Manscaped, like, bet those balls are smooth as eggs. That's what everyone thinks in the general area. Also, pull your pants up because you're in public. Manscaped is the best in men's below the belt grooming. The best. Whatever I just said there at the end. A guy with hairy balls is like 2020. Don't be that guy. Get 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com when you use code MCA at checkout. That's 20% off and free shipping. They'll give it to you in courier, like a courier will give it to you for free. It's going to come to your house and hand it to you. Shave those balls. Thanks so much, Manscaped.
No, thank you. 20% off MCA. I think we need to do a thing with I just gave a great idea of spitballing just real quick.
Yeah.
The read next week. What we're going to do is we're going to pick a random word and we have to work it in somehow to the read. I think that's a great way to do that. Maybe we'll pick two because the read is very long. So we'll do that. Just like we just called out South Dakota or was it now South Dakota?
And
South Dakota
Jim,
specifically.
Call out real
Well, everyone knows Jim.
Yeah, Jim from South Dakota is not in a good way right now. He's like, damn.
I did, while you were doing that, I was laughing my ass off for one.
Yeah.
And two, I definitely had to drop a hashtag new nuts in the chat.
Hashtag new nuts.
New nuts, new you, baby. Let's go.
Zero electrocution.
It's proven.
So good. I got two of them. They're great. I got one upstairs, one downstairs.
What they
downstairs
for
the downstairs?
What do you mean you got two? What does that mean?
I got two. I owned one before they gave me one.
Okay, it's weird. Seems like
sorry. I like trimmers.
Right, you got to separate.
I got one for the season, one for the off season, dude.
One for the right ball, one for the left ball. I get it.
That's what happens. I leave one here. I take one with me. I can only take so much stuff. We got two cats now. We're going to be the two cat people on a plane now. So I got to limit the number of things I'm carrying. All right.
That is true.
Okay. All right. Well, now that I'm super excited, we're going to let you just go, Kahlief, on this. This is something that I want to know all about. So you have your podcast SpawnOnMe.
Yes.
Give us the who, what, why, and where. What is it? What's your mission? Tell us all about it. We want to know all about it because it's amazing.
Absolutely. SpawnOnMe is the premier podcast spotlighting people of color in the video game industry. What have we been doing for the past 7 going on 8 years has been showcasing and uplifting and sharing the stories of multiple folks within the gaming industry to tell them to tell our audience and tell all of you why they do what they do. I have a full belief that most of the folks who are in the video game industry, especially folks on the dev side, don't get the love that they deserve. They are using their brains to make sure that you are entertained. And lots of times they don't get that love from the community in the ways that they deserve. So we try to give them a platform, give them a space to talk about why they're doing what they're doing. I try to give you my perspective through my experiences as a Black person in America, and also all the things that I've been doing as a gamer and as a person in the industry to talk about why those things are important, how those things connect. And we have a fun time talking about all the taboo stuff that a lot of people don't want to talk about. So we talk about race, we talk about sex, we talk about all those things and how they connect, politics, all those things, how they connect to not only the games that you play, but to the world that you live in a real and positive way. We're super willing to talk about truth. We literally just talked about all the stuff that just happened yesterday on the show that we did last night. And I think people have come to it with a lot of grace. They've come to it with a lot of love for what we do and what I do. And I think we're probably one of the only shows that's run by a person of color that gets the clientele that we get on our show. We've had folks who are super indie on the show, and we most recently had head of Xbox marketing and ecosystem, Sarah Bond, on our show, who's like super high up the chain over on the Xbox side of things. So we do all of those kinds of conversations, and also talk a little bit of mess about random stuff that we see on the internet every week. So it's a fantastic thing. We're on all podcast platforms. We're here on Twitch, twitch.tv/SpawnOnMe, YouTube, all those places as well. And it's been a fantastic ride. It has been nuts. to literally new nuts, hashtag new nuts. It has been new nuts to see where we have landed in this space. And that's because of our wonderful folks in our fake land of Chicago is where we call the place that we have our show.
Chicago.
The mix of Brooklyn and Chicago for the first
I love that.
I think you get a great hoagie in Chicago.
Man.
Dude, I listened to one of your more recent ones where you were interviewing Chef Lou.
Chef Lubu.
Lubu, yeah, Lubu. Super fascinating. One, because I love that you connected the gaming and obviously the current events, but also you bridged a really cool gap that I thought was awesome into the restaurant industry, which was really cool to hear. Like, there was just some of the things that Lubu was talking about as far as like, kind of struggling to get started and, seeing a lot of the businesses around him close down and things like this, where you don't really get that perspective a lot. Certainly not necessarily in gaming.
Yep.
Because I feel like overall, the gaming streaming industry has actually done pretty well through the pandemic, if not really well. So that was really cool kind of connection you made there with him. And also the fact that he runs a video game like fried chicken play. Like, that was amazing. That was super cool. So I appreciate SpawnOnMe for the fact that you guys do bridge a lot of those gaps into what people are doing. You obviously relate it back to the gaming industry, which is awesome. I'm just curious. I was thinking about this while the podcast was going on, but I'm curious. Have you ever had like a guest on there? And obviously you don't have to tell me who it is, where like they necessarily maybe they were a chef, or maybe they were I don't know, an engineer or something. Mm-hmm. And they really didn't know that much about gaming, and you were like, oh frick, this person doesn't actually it's actually no connection to gaming at all.
You're like, so how are we gonna make that thing when you dissect into a conversation about gaming?
Exactly, yeah. How am I gonna tie this back? He's like, yeah, so Mario. You're like, you don't know.
Luckily, there are some podcasting tricks that you can use to get around that. I've been doing it for a minute. So your active listening skills wind up becoming paramount.
Yes.
In terms of being able to, pull a conversation out of your behind. We've had one or two guests that were kind of on the periphery of gaming. They were like gaming adjacent. So they were kind of more in the education space. Because I love having those conversations in there, because I think everyone is a gamer, but they may not think they are. There used to be the conversation about the mommy gamer, and I'm playing on my phone, I'm playing Candy Crush or whatever, and people were like, folks in the gaming industry community were like, you're not a gamer, what are you doing? You just play on your phone and you match candy canes together. What the hell is that?
Yeah, exactly.
And those folks are absolutely gamers, right? They're absolutely folks who are in the ecosystem in all those kinds of ways. There was one time when I had a conversation. I'm trying to pull it. It was really rough because that person kind of already came with their one talking point.
Oh, okay.
And they were trying really hard to try to. I was like, so when you were a younger person, or when you were, first starting out to the space, did you play Pac-Man? Was that a thing you ever did? And they were like, not really. Nope. We didn't do any of that stuff. It was interesting because they were like not allowed from their parents to like play games. And it's not a thing that you can research. You know what I mean? That's like, we didn't sit down and like put you on the couch to have the therapy session so I could find out that your parents did love you.
Exactly.
But it's one of those things where it's just like, I don't, you have to try to figure out ways to pull in those conversations and kind of bridge those gaps. And I think the beauty of that Chef Lubu conversation especially was the topic was the runoff that just happened in Georgia, and how we were going to try to figure out ways to galvanize the gaming community in Georgia, and talk about because Georgia has a brilliant and vast fighting game community there as well. And Battle and Brew, where Chef Lubu works, is a huge hub for that, right? So it's like a place where everybody can come in and get those face-to-face matches in and do all that kind of stuff. I think that's one of the most fun parts of doing this is we get a lot of developers, we get a lot of folks who are in the space who have been doing it for a long time, and a lot of times they come on to plug a thing, like, oh, my game's coming out, we're going to talk about the game and stuff. And for me, in the back of my mind, I'm like, that's awesome. Mm-hmm. And we know about your game because I've done the research, and most of our community is super smart and savvy in that way. But I kind of don't care about your game in that way. And I don't say that to be an ass. It's for me, the thing that I care about most is why you do this. Because I think that was the thing that I always wanted to figure out when I was trying to go into this industry. It was like, you could be using your brain to cure cancer. You're that smart, right?
Yeah.
Like I remember very specifically, really quick story. One of the smartest cats I ever met was when I was first covering Dreams on the PS4. Young cat, I can't remember, his name is Anton. And he was one of the first people to help design the PSVR.
Oh, cool.
Young cat, like early 20s, brilliant kid, right? At the time, and then he moved over to Media Molecule and started doing Dream stuff. And I saw him have a conversation in a hallway at GDC, and he broke down, basically was like rocket science in a casual conversation to somebody else.
What?
And it was the most fascinating thing I'd ever seen in my life. And I was like, you're sitting at home, making video games for us. That's wild. That's a nuts thing to think about. Hashtag new nuts. That's a new nuts thing to think about. If you really pay attention to what video games are and what the folks who are doing this work are using their brains for entertainment for us.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the story there is the thing that I care about more when it comes to those conversations, to say, like, you could literally be doing anything else with your time on this planet, and you're spending it for the want for someone to like the thing that you've made that hopefully will give them enjoyment. That's a beautiful thing in and of itself. So yeah, it's, those people who it's hard to pull out those conversations. You just pivot real hard and you're like, so do you like curling? So what else is stuff you dig? Because you wind up running into brick walls real hard and don't have a lot to talk about. So you cut those. Those are our shortest episodes. Short. You're like, can I please get a Manscaped ad so I can read this bad boy for a long time?
Gotta fill some dead air here.
Yeah, this is not going well.
Oh my gosh, that's a very well, I'm not going to fill it any dead air or anything, but I just want to say that having listened to your podcast now a couple times, I think it's awesome, man. I think you're doing a great job. Obviously, you've had a lot of experience doing it. You've been in the game for a bit. I think what you're doing is super important, and I think it's a really, really cool idea. I also want to encourage people as well. I feel like some people maybe who have not listened to your podcast or don't know anything about it, and maybe they hear like the intro and they're like, oh my gosh, like premier podcast for like people of color. Like, I'm not a person of color. Like, maybe I won't be able to relate to what's happening. And like, sure, there might be some cultural things that maybe you don't like quite understand, but I would absolutely encourage you to dive in to a podcast, whether it's, a person of color or queer or whatever it may be. Hop into something that maybe you're not really used to or comfortable with, and realize how relatable all the things though that they talk about are, and how they relate to your life. Like I struggle to make money and pay my bills too, or I'm running a restaurant, or I'm doing whatever. So yeah, I would just encourage our listeners to do that, because like I said, I think you're doing a great job. So
and thank you for that, and I really appreciate it. I think I get that question often. I get that especially from some of our newer white listeners, and they're like, can I listen to your, like, it's this interesting like approach. It's like tiptoe. It's like, can I listen to your show? And I'm like, yeah, you absolutely can. Like, we do a generalist show.
Yeah,
it's the thing that if you care about the gaming industry and you're interested in it and the people in it, it is something that anyone can listen to.
Yes,
I come from the pedigree of Giant Bomb and Kind of Funny and Weekend Confirmed and all those podcasts that happened way back in the day. But if you want that extra flavor stuff that you can't get anywhere else through my prism and through the conversations there that we touch, then we are absolutely the podcast you should be listening to for that kind of stuff.
Freaking love it, dude. Wonderful. That's amazing. Well, PM, without further ado, talk about giving you more responsibility. Where's our game?
Game us, bro.
Yes. First of all, Craig Bot left. He's not coming back.
Yeah.
Just want to make that known, just in case he does reappear. So don't be alarmed. Let's go ahead and do this thing. So we're gonna do pop quiz. Okay, pop quiz. So now, traditionally with the pop quizzes that I had growing up, you did them in the first 10 minutes of class, and you had a rapid fire answer. And there's
now
Craig.
Recording.
Thanks for coming back, Craig. Love you. So, by the way, he timed out 3 times in the span of 45 seconds and just decided now to show up. He's a diva. Okay, so I'm going to do a whole list of questions here. Okay. No multiple choice, and there he is back in and out. Okay, this is ridiculous.
Craigmont keeps leaving.
He keeps leaving in and out. This is ridiculous. I should probably keep this part in just for reference. I am going to just ask the questions. No multiple choice. First one to get it gets it right. Okay.
Love that.
Oh,
and you have 20 seconds to answer each one. So if by the end of 20 seconds no one gets it, we just move on. Okay.
Do we have a topic or is it just anything?
It's pretty much just are you smarter than the 5th grader questions. But you know,
we're playing Are You Smarter Than 5th Grader?
Pretty much just without multiple choice.
I might be.
Okay. Sure. All right. So let me set the timer here. The first question. Okay. Remember, first one to get it gets it right. So I'm watching you guys. So the first one to say it gets it right. Okay. What gas do humans need to breathe in order to live?
Oxygen.
Okay. Who said it first, Trevor? Trevor won. Okay. Oh. Next. Here we go. Next. Primary greenhouse gas emitted through human activity.
Carbon dioxide.
There you go. Paul.
You get that one, Paul. Relax.
What country has the longest border with the U.S.?
Mexico.
Canada.
Oh, obviously Canada.
There's literally 2.
Who invented the light bulb?
Thomas Edison.
Oh, there we go. Wow, Trevor's. Who invented bifocals?
I was trying to be kind and like
Benjamin Franklin.
Trevor is on a tear right now. You need to pay attention, Paul.
Lattimore.
Nikola Tesla.
What does a geologist study?
Rocks.
Oh, Kahlief, there we go. One on the board. Okay. Whose picture is on the $5 bill?
Andrew Jackson.
Lincoln.
Yep, Lincoln.
Franklin.
Lincoln. Who's pictured on the $20 bill?
Jackson.
There you go, Paul.
Harriet Tubman.
Get sucked, Trevor.
He just didn't do it yet.
All right. Longest river in the world?
The Rhine.
Nile.
Yep. Longest river in South America? There you go.
Yeah.
The hardest mineral in the world?
Diamond.
There you go.
Is it adamantine?
Come on, we know. For real. Come on.
Are we really talking about or politically correct one?
Snickety snoink.
How many time zones are on Earth?
I have no idea.
Oh my god.
This is going to be a 15-second wonder. I'm about to do this.
24.
Who said
10.
24? Me. All right, Trevor, 7.
Wait,
7.
is it really
24? Yeah.
No way.
How many minutes are in a day?
I know how many seconds during a day. 86,400.
Think of resolutions. Display resolutions.
1440.
Yep, 1440. Kahlief got it right. Said it first. There we go.
I only know seconds because of timeouts.
Trevor, how many seconds are in a day?
Is it 86,400?
Yep. Okay, there you go.
Wow.
Amazing that
You got that right. That was the next one. So, all right, ounces in a quart.
8.
8, yeah.
See, there you go, 16.
You got 10 seconds. Yep, 32.
It's one of the multiples.
How many ounces in a pint?
8. 16.
16.
Oh, wait, 8. Half pint ice cream, yeah.
How many pints in a gallon?
2.
8.
Who said 8?
8. It's 8.
Oh, Trevor said 8. There we go.
So we said no math.
Okay.
Math just magically pulled me out of everything.
How many consonants are in the word baseball?
None.
5.
5.
Good one. You counted fast enough.
You see my hand? I was all counting on my hand.
And lastly, the frontal lobe of the brain controls what?
The balls.
Creativity. That's right brain, left brain. I don't know. Front is speech, isn't it?
Nope. You guys got 10 seconds.
Sleep.
Nope.
Well, I mean, Memory?
Crying.
No.
But
It is learning. It is learning and decision making. Yeah, so that was the rapid fire game. That was like
very
minimum
nice.
I like
time.
the style. I think there's, I think we can expand.
There are way
good.
more questions, but it's all math related, so I'm going to skip that.
Yeah, it's good. That was good.
Thanks so much.
Trevor
Now we
dominated.
know how.
Yeah.
I won. Yeah, I've done the best. Here we are. We're here again, guys. We did it. We came to the same conclusion we come to every time.
I love how the math questions literally just locked me up.
I love math. I don't know what it is, but I love math.
It was like somebody hit a button right in the side of my head. It was like, "Ew, shut down."
You're like, man, I'm done.
It
All
was
right.
like leaving a room. It was like leaving.
Bro, it's so true. Even the simplest questions, if someone asks me and there's like a time period where I have to answer, and if I don't hit this time period, I look stupid, I give up. Just no shot. Yeah,
Trevor,
it's 4 divided by 2.
Trevor, weren't you talking about that? How like someone goes up to random people on the street and they're like, "Tell me the name of this girl. Tell me the name of any woman." And they're like,
Dude, Billy in the street, he ran up to someone, goes, "Name a woman, any woman," and this girl's just like, he's like, "Any female," and she's like, and he's like, "Oh, you're worthless," and just
Runs away. Billy on the street is really the most aggressive, fun shows.
He's so funny, man. He's really funny.
He cares nothing about your feelings.
At all. He's like, "Who do you like better, me or Seth Rogen?" She's like, "Oh, you. Seth Rogen's awful." She's like, "Oh, thank you. Meet my cameraman, Seth Rogen." And he drops the camera and it's him. She's like, he's like, hi.
Wow, great Seth Rogen.
Yeah, I love that guy.
You really nailed it. Absolutely crushed it. So this is the part where we want to give a little bit of shout out, a little side monitor love. So yeah, little lovey-dovey, little absolutely, yeah. My shout out is a friend of mine. I've known her for quite a while. I've given her a shout out before on the podcast, but she's just been like, just following her on Twitter, and she's just absolutely killing it, working super hard, putting a lot of effort into it. And it's tougher because she actually has a condition called, I immediately forget it, but it's like essentially a condition where you have fatigue. So she fights through it and is able to put out a podcast and stream, and it's incredible. So her name is Ashlina.
Friend of the pod.
Friend of the pod, Ashlina. ASHLINAA. You can find her on that. She actually has really good branding all over everything. She's got Ashlina just about everywhere. Check out Ashlina. She has a podcast called Motivational, which I was a distinguished guest on, which is no big deal. But she's doing a great job. She's streaming. She's doing a good amount of like variety and things like that. And she's also doing the podcast and is really pushing through her current medical condition and like honestly being kind of transparent about it too, which I think is great. I think a lot of people can kind of hide medical conditions and things like that, which I'm not saying everyone has to like be, here's all the things wrong with me. Like, but I think having a level of transparency about like, hey, you haven't made stream in 3 days. Like, what's going on? Like, how are you? And being open about that has been awesome. So that's my shout out, Ashlina with 2 A's. She's killing it. Go check her out on Twitch and Twitter and Instagram.
Ashlina,
friend of the pod. Trevor, who you got today?
I have a gentleman named Fox Stevenson. He is a music producer who fairly recently got into Twitch. I think he's been on for probably a year now, or maybe a little bit longer than that. But I've liked a lot of his music for a while. He's I think he's an Englishman, he's got an English accent, but I think he lives in America now for like a long time. So it's kind of, I don't know. It sounds a little bit different. Anyway, he's an amazing producer. And his, I was into music production for a long time. And so, but he's just like bright, bubbly, and like loves making music. So like he makes something cool. He's like, you can just see it on his face. He's like, oh, so he's been great. It's like if you're sitting there watching someone work, it could get kind of, I don't know, if you kind of have to like be into it if you're making music, because it can be very much like you just focus on the screen. He's very interactive. And he's made some amazing songs that are like he only did in one session on Twitch. So it was really cool and interesting as well. So if that's something you're interested in, learning about music production or something or anything like that, because it is very much like it's very much, if you ever picked up like Premiere Pro or something to edit video. It's very like segmented like that, and there's a lot of like little things you need to learn, and he goes into depth when you ask, and he does a really good job. He's just really good at streaming and doing what he does really well. So I've been on a kick, kind of like figuring out if I can start making music again, like do it on stream, and he's given me a lot of like kind of ideas about how to do it. So Fox Stevenson. And even if you're just like, I'll check out his music. He makes kind of electronic drum and bass, kind of like dubsteppy kind of stuff, but it's a little bit more happy. And think like, I don't know, like
this description of what he's making.
Teen rock. Remember teen rock, like Blink 182 and stuff, kind of vocals, that kind of stuff, but with electronic music. It's really good. It's got a Marshmello vibe a little bit.
You jumped to like 4 different genres. I don't know what this guy makes.
Sorry, I know.
I'm interested.
Most people just know EDM as like a little entire EDM. Genre. EDM is a whole world, bro.
A little jazz, a little opera, a little bit of totally.
He's really good, and he does a lot of his own vocals too, which is cool. So go check him out, Fox Stevenson.
Very cool. Also, by the way, Trevor, maybe check your door. Looks like you got a package. For those listening,
it's here. It's here, everybody.
We can clearly see Trevor's window behind him. There's definitely a FedEx.
When this pod is over, I am gone.
Something came. So sorry, Kahlief, please. Who have you been watching lately? Who do you want to give a shout out to?
Late in 2020, we were picked up for a licensing deal with the folks over at Fanbyte. So we're now part of the Fanbyte podcast network.
Nice.
Which was super duper dope. And they have some fantastic shows. I'd love to give them some love. Fan Fight, which is they were doing a whole bunch of conversations around MMA for a while, which was super, super cool. There's a new video series with our boy Funke called The Vineyard, which is pretty fantastic, of course, and you love to see it is also great because they talk about all the videos and all the movies of things that they kind of love and dig into. And one YouTuber who I think you should absolutely check out, who has been a godsend to me, getting all of this set up and giving me good places to think about, what it looks like to build out the kind of ideas in your head into real spaces, is Terry Warfield. If you are a fan of learning about cameras and learning about video and filmmaking and all those things, Terry Warfield has been brilliant. I've been able to chop it up with him and talk about stuff in real life about like, how does this actually work and how do you make things look good? So if you're thinking about that as a content creator, he's a fantastic person to check out as well.
Dude, freaking outstanding. Awesome. I just got a new camera, and so I think cameras are fascinating. I would love to know more about it.
So much stuff, man.
Dude, I feel like I barely scratched the surface of what my camera can do.
Yeah.
Also, turns out lenses are super important. Who would have known?
They are.
I didn't freaking know.
They're very important.
I didn't freaking know that.
It's a dangerous rabbit hole to start jumping down.
Mother of God. Get it freaking as big as your forearm.
Expensive hobby to get into. If you photographers, man.
16 millimeter. That's the one to get. Sigma 16 millimeter.
Oh, dude. Yes, it is. Awesome. Very good. Well, SpawnOnMe podcast. Obviously, Kahlief Adams, you are more than your pod. So if you want to share anything going on, what's next for you? Do you have any streams coming up? Any merch you're excited about? Anything in particular you want to give a shout out to for yourself?
Yeah, thank you again. And first of all, thank you so much for having me on the show. I knew when PM hit me up, he was like, "Yo, we want to have you on the show." I was like, "Yo, stop playing.
Okay.
Yeah, this is gonna be
all right.
If I get
SpawnOnMe podcast.
So first of all, thank you again for having me. I would love to have you both on the show to come rock with me as well. So we got to figure out a way to do that in 2021.
Hell yeah.
A couple of things that we do every year. We do our Spawn for Good event. Last year, we did it around voter disenfranchisement. We raised over $18,000 for the folks over at Vote Riders to help them get some things done. And hopefully that helped the election this year or last year, I should say. I swear this feels like next year versus last year is a thing. So we do that every year. We do, again, we raise funds for charities that a lot of folks don't actually get funds raised for. So we do that every, usually Martin Luther King weekend. Awesome. We snatch up folks and have them do some stuff there. So we were thinking about doing that again here. And also we're just building out this show. We're pushing hard for 2021. We have some great shows lined up. Probably later in the year, we'll probably get Tim Schafer on the show to come hang out with us. We're looking to get Phil Spencer on the show.
Nice.
We had Sarah Bond on a little bit earlier, or late in last 2020. So we have some good guests coming up. We have some fun conversations. And again, like if you're looking for something that's a little bit different and looking at it and hoping to learn more about the people who make the games that you love to play, SpawnOnMe is a fantastic place to do that work. So you can check us out, twitch.tv/SpawnOnMe, 6 p.m. PST every Wednesday night. That show usually goes up live in audio form on Friday, and then the videos go up on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/SpawnOnMe on that Monday or Tuesday. So come through, subscribe, check out what we're doing, and have fun with us in the chat in Chicago, and we'll give you some love.
Awesome, dude. That is fantastic. And we, Trevor and I would love to hop on the pod. That sounds super exciting. I think we'd have a ton of fun.
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh my gosh. If we even get remotely close to politics, Trevor will talk for 4 hours.
I love it.
To our listeners, we now have 2 ways to get onto the pod. In addition to the review of the week, we now have a phone number. That's right. Phone number. You can give us a call or text. Either way, the number is 503-908-9526. You can leave your question there, and you may have it asked on the pod. We may even get your actual voice on there, dude.
Wow.
So
we're going to figure out how to do it. It's going to be crazy.
PM's going to figure it out. Just one more thing to throw on his lap. Before we go, that review of the week is from Graham Sharp, who said, "Happy New Year, guys. Love the look back. Please get Milton back." Speak of the devil. Look at that. Please get Milton back to take Paul down the rabbit hole. Lol. Keep up the great work. Can't wait for more in 2021. Peace. Yeah,
After
we're
100
not.
ellipses. You got to talk about the 100 ellipses.
There was like 100 ellipses. He said, "Can't wait for more in 2021."
He wanted you to say peace literally like a minute later.
Long dead silence. Peace.
Peace.
Yeah, just so you know, I think that's how we intended it, Graham. Also, we're not going to have Milton back on because my brain and soul can't handle whatever the heck he was talking about. I still don't really know.
All talking about aliens and the singularity and all kinds of crazy.
I think I'm in a simulation. There's no real way to know. And by the way, just
we are.
I don't want to go down a rabbit hole here, but I saw a headline that said scientists now say it's 50-50 chance we're in a simulation. I'm like, that's everything. What do you mean 50? That could be anything. 50-50 chance the sun is actually made out of cheese. We don't know. We haven't been close enough to find out. 50-50 shot. Like, I don't know. That just seems ridiculous to me. Anyway, 50-50, that's the best you could do.
The spoon is not a spoon.
It
is or it isn't.
Thanks, scientist. Thanks for all your hard research. Anyway, gosh, I just fired up.
We've attacked Jeff and scientists in South Dakota.
It's Jim.
Sorry, Jeff. Jeff, my bad, dude. It's Jim.
We brought Jeff into it now.
Long ellipses, and it's not going to say peace at the end.
Piece of
Graham, you're cool. All right.
Super cool guy. This has been the May Contain Action podcast. You can listen on all major carriers of podcasts, including Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud. You can watch the VOD on YouTube. 5-star ratings only. If you really like the video on YouTube, give it a thumbs up. If you hate it, hit thumbs down twice. Classic YouTubeism there. You're welcome, everybody. And who knows, your review may end up on the next episode. Call us 503-908-9526. Let us know if you have questions for us or for our guest. Follow us at May Contain Pod on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Right before we go, Kahlief, please plug everything.
Check out all the shows. We're on all podcast platforms as well. Check those out. Again, twitch.tv/SpawnOnMe, 6 p.m. PST is where you'll see the live show. That live show then gets kicked out on Friday to be in all of your ears and all the other places that you listen to things and all that kind of stuff. Hopefully not in the singularity, because that would be bad. Also, we also do a call-in show as well called Ask Ka Anything. So AKA is the name of that show. And you can send in stuff to us as well at speakpipe.com/SpawnOnMe and send me a voicemail and tell me about all the things you want to talk about, and I'll give you a straight up answer about all those things in real time on the show. So thank you again, everybody.
Kahlief, awesome having you, man. Thank you so much for being on.
Thank you, gents. You rock.
See you guys. Bye-bye.
Good night.